Ye elders of Israel, come join now with me and sing.
Welcome, everybody, to the third hour of Power. My name is Grady of This Mormon Life, and Third Hour of Power is a podcast brought to you by This Week in Mormons. Each week, not each week, but on the second and third weeks, we talk about the upcoming lesson for Teachings of the President of the Church. This year, we are learning about Joseph Fielding Smith. And also, this week, we are discussing Chapter 4, which is Strengthening the Family and Preserving the Family. Along that theme, I decided to invite my family to be with me tonight. Again, if you listen to Lesson 3, you know her as Summer Alvarez. She is my little sister. Summer, how are you?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Thanks for coming back with me.
I'm super happy to be here again.
Behind the scenes note, we spent about an hour and a half trying to get this thing set up for last week, and so I'm glad that she is willing to return and willing to take time away from her family to spend time with my family. I guess it's our family, isn't it?
We really need a reality show because that was pretty comical.
It was the best. You can't even manufacture that kind of stuff.
No, and then we even took a break for skateboarding.
Yes, they went and skateboarded. So if you want to see skateboarding pictures of the reign of us and our dad, where should we go, Summer?
You should go to Instagram at Munchies, MUNCHIES_Mama, MAMA. And you can see a picture of our dad skateboarding. We call him White Shadow.
White Shadow.
That's funny because shadows aren't inherently fast.
Neither is he. So, Summer, for those who are joining us for the first time this week or missed last week, tell me a little bit about what Munchies Mama is.
Well, Munchies Mama is my family and lifestyle blog. I share posts about my family, about my children, about parenting. I share some crafts and recipes, things that just I enjoy doing and talking about.
Summer, I'm going to challenge you here. Do you ever show posts about your faith?
I do, actually. I do. I talk about it a lot, actually.
What kind of benefits have you seen expressed by your audience by some of those posts?
Well, it's really interesting to see the demographic because many of my followers and friends through blogging are actually members of the church. And so there is a huge blogging community that are Mormon. And so it's really fun to get to know other people in different areas and find support through social media with other members of the faith. And also it's a great way to just get the word about the church out there to other people and to expose them to our beliefs and the things we do with our families and the things we do for fun that are wholesome and uplifting, and to show people that you really can have a great time doing things that will make Heavenly Father happy.
Yeah, and if you enjoy blogging and you enjoy Southern California, you should come down to Summer's blog conference she's having called Elevate. When is that, Summer?
It's May 17th, and actually the tickets just sold out, but if you get your name on the waiting list, we might be releasing a couple more tickets.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. We're super excited. It's our third year doing the conference, and we sold out again this year, and we've got some really great speakers coming from all over, and it's just going to be a great time at the beach in Newport.
Wonderful, wonderful. Which is a nice place. It's really nice.
Yeah,
So this lesson is on the family. As I was reading the lesson and the section about Joseph Fielding Smith's life, they talked to Joseph Smith's second wife. I guess you can say Joseph Smith. Joseph Smith's second wife, and they were asking her what kind of man her husband was. And she was talking about how, in the public, you might see him as the prophet, very stern, very orthodox in his manner. But the man who we have at home is someone completely different. Not that they conflict, but just that he almost compartmentalizes, and he's fun, and he wrestles, and he teaches the children, he takes care of them when they're sick. It was like these things I was reading, I was saying, this is the kind of dad that I want to make sure that I am. It was fun the other night. We were trying to talk about the idea that a husband and wife work together to bless the family with our kids. And I was asking one of my sons, Grayson, who is the best at taking out the trash? Dad is. Who's the best at baking cookies? Dad is. Who's the best at taking care of you when you're sick? Dad is. And all these things. Now, of course, a lot of those things I'm not the best at. I don't even think I've ever made cookies before that weren't out of a roll.
He's a pretty good cook. I don't know how you can compete with that one.
I think he just wanted stuff from me, honestly.
Maybe he thought you'd give him cookies.
That's true.
Maybe he thought that was the question.
And I might be the one to do that. I might sneak cookies, but he is diabetic, so that'd probably be a bad idea for me. But one of the things that was neat, me and my wife were talking later, was that she was acknowledging that you are good at taking care of the kids when they're sick. You are the one that will sit with them when they're throwing up and not have to worry about it, where she gets kind of gaggy sometimes. But another thing that we were talking about, she was saying, I want you to be the kind of dad that when we get home and the kids are asleep, you'll pick them up and put them in bed and tuck them in. Where a lot of times we get home and I'm like, kids, get up. And she's like, will you carry them? And I go, no, they're awake now. They can walk. But it's just that idea of being a tender-hearted dad. And, she told me it, and now I see it reinforced here in the lesson. And it just kind of, says maybe that my wife is pretty smart and that I should follow the example of Joseph Fielding Smith and be a more tender father. I think the world can use more kind, tender fathers.
That's so true. It talks about how the family is the most important organization in time and also in eternity. It talks about the evils that are attacking our families right now, especially in the world and the media and all the things that our families are exposed to. And it talks about making that time to really center your family in Christ. Make sure that everything comes back to a family. You guys are having regular family time, focusing on wholesome activities, and just really making that a priority in your life. And I think today it is really difficult to do for a lot of people. I know I have a difficult time because I work from home. I have an online shop where I sell nail decals, so I'm filling orders every day. And then I also work for a blogging agency, so I'm dealing with bloggers and issues they're having with posts, and then I also have my blog, so I'm trying to write and interact with my readers. And so I have a really hard time making sure that I'm tending to my children while trying to get that done. And I need to focus on, if that order goes out 5 hours later, that person's never going to know. They're never going to know if I got it done into the post office 5 hours late, because the most important thing is my family. And the other day I sat down at the end of the day and went, I don't even remember if I sat and looked at Kennedy, my 6-month-old baby. I was like, I think that I basically just schlepped her around all day, getting her, like, she eats this time and she needs to go to sleep, and then she gets up and she's going to eat again, and I need to set her down to play so I can get this other stuff done. But really, like, I didn't make enough time to really connect with her that day. And so ever since then, I really have been trying to set aside time and focusing on what's really important, and that's being together with my family.
Yeah, I had a similar situation as well today. I got home. I'd been gone all day. I knew I had class tonight, and I knew I just had a full evening as well. And Christy, my wife, she was making dinner. The kids were cleaning up, and there's my baby laying on the ground, just kind of hanging out. And I thought, you know what? I could take 5 minutes right now and make a connection with her. And me and Summer both have little girls. They're about 6 weeks apart. Luckily, these ones don't have the same name. But it was nice to just get down on my knees and just giggle with her and tickle her and laugh with her and see her reaction, and realizing that, I'm making a difference right now. Not only is she going to feel better about this and we're going to be closer about this, but I feel more connected with her when I do things like this.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's something that everybody struggles with, there's so many distractions nowadays with social media and phones and email, and you don't get to clock out right at 5 o'clock, a lot of us. And so work continues into the night. And so I think that's something that I'm glad that the church talks about and really encourages us to really reevaluate.
Yeah, because, with the family, all the things that we have, most of them aren't going with us when we get to the other side. But in section 2, it talks about how the Lord instituted the family to endure eternally. It's such a great blessing to be able to have a family that's been sealed in the temple. My sister and I, we're sealed to our parents. And it's a wonderful thing knowing that she's going to be my sister forever. On the opposite side of that, I'm also sealed with my wife and my kids. And I love you, Summer. You're a great sister. But the love that I feel for you and the love that I feel for Christy are completely different. There are those who don't share some of that same faith and have the understanding that when we get to the other side, we're going to be all brothers and sisters, and that's good. And that's what they want. And if that's what they want, I'm sure that's what they're going to get, and they'll be happy with it. But for me, I don't want my wife to be like my sister. I don't want that relationship. Even though sometimes I tease her and she says, "Stop it, I'm not your sister." And I realize, oh yeah, you're right, you're my wife. We need to have a different relationship. Which means that you and I need to hang out more, Summer, so I can tease you.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Me and Summer are 13 months apart, so
We spent a lot of time together.
we raised each other, basically. We were latchkey kids.
No, we weren't.
Yes, we were. Mom worked a lot.
She was a great mom.
She was a wonderful mom. She is a wonderful mom. Love you, Mom. But the idea is that that's where we find our greatest happiness is in our families, and that's who we want to be forever. We don't want to have a great time with our family and then be peers when we get to the other side. We want to have those relationships endure.
Well, could you imagine not having the love that you have for your children? Like, I couldn't imagine my love for my children being just like my love for a brother or sister or friend. Like, it's so different. I love my kids. I'm obsessed. I just want to I want to smother them. I just love them so much that I couldn't, and I love you too, but I don't think that if you acted like my children act, I think that we would have a really difficult relationship. But I love my children regardless. You know what I mean? Like, I can handle it.
Not be at Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Seriously. If you threw the tantrum that my child threw today and took his clothes off and wouldn't put them back on, we would probably have an issue. But I still love my child. Yeah, I still love my child. Like, I still look at him and I just have to laugh because, it's so unconditional.
And those good days that we have really help to make up for those bad days.
Mm-hmm.
And in the next section, it talks about how we strengthen and preserve our families by spending time together. It talks about motherhood. And so I'm glad you're here with me today, Summer. One of the sections here, he's talking about just a mother, an example, and how she says, the child comes up to her and wants to spend time with her. And the mother says, "Oh, go away and leave me alone. I haven't time to be bothered." It's 1920 speech, so it's hard for me to say it. But talking about a hurried mother who was impatient with her little 3-year-old daughter who was just trying to help her with some household tasks. But the mom was just, "Let me just get this done. You go do your own thing. I don't want you around me right now." And how important it is for us to not forget our kids and that they have such pure hearts. All they want to do is help when they're in these young stages. And I think sometimes if we push them away, they will be less likely to help when they get older. But if we involve them in household tasks and activities, then they're going to enjoy it. They're going to love it. And even though we have to endure when they're 3 and probably make more of a mess than when they got there, when they're 7, they'll be experts and it'll be a lot more easier for us to manage the house.
One of the things that I have to remind myself a lot is that the easy way is not always the right way. It is easy to do it yourself. It is easy to sit your child in front of the TV. It is easy to be quick to anger or act out in anger when disciplining. It is hard to be patient. It is hard to set things aside and focus on your family sometimes. It is hard to sit down and try to teach your child how to clean their room over and over and over. These things are hard, but those are the things that are worthwhile. Those are the things that matter. And so I just try to remind myself that just because it's the easy way doesn't mean it's the right one.
And I try to put myself in Heavenly Father's position when he thinks about me. Does he ever say the same thing to me? Why do you keep messing up your life? Why do you keep making these mistakes? Why won't you leave your clothes on? He doesn't say that to me. But just
and
those.
He never
those
says, "I'm done with you."
Yeah, I'm done with you.
"I'm done. Go to your room. I'm not going to talk to you." Like, he never
Yeah.
does that. He is there when we're ready to talk. He's always there.
And so, and that's the kind of father and mother that we should be. Those are the kind of parents we should be as emulate after him. And speaking about mothers, I did want to talk about Summer. You've been very successful in your life, especially one of the things that you love to do is dance. And you've been a Clipper girl. You were a Charger girl. You had your own line that you led. You did a lot of their choreography, and then you chose to stop. What was that like for you?
I came to a point in my life where I knew that I wanted to start a family, and those two things just couldn't mix. You obviously that a pregnant Charger girl is probably a liability for them. But I spent a lot of time away from my husband because of it. There was always an event going on. When I was dancing in San Diego, we lived in Orange County. And so I was always commuting back and forth, and it took a toll on our relationship. And I knew that if I wanted to have a strong relationship with my husband, and if I wanted to start a family, that time in my life was over. And it was great. I loved it. I had the best time. I went to Hawaii and cheered in the NFL All-Star game. Like, wasn't in a lifetime opportunities. I've traveled to Japan. I've done all these great things, and it was perfect for that time in my life. But it was time for me to focus on the things that are eternal and those things that are important.
Do you regret it?
Oh, no, never. Everybody always, literally, the first question I get is, oh, that's really cool. Do you miss it? And my answer is always no. Like, I don't miss all the things that came along with it. Sometimes it'd be nice to get on the field and dance, but all those things that came along with it, we were at the fields on game day 5 hours before the game, way before any of the players had to be there so that we could rehearse. There are so many things that came along with it that were a huge sacrifice. And so I'm so happy to be where I am, and I'm so satisfied because I did it for plenty of time. I was 9 years I danced professionally. And so I don't miss it. I don't regret stopping for a heartbeat. Not at all.
And now I have 2 nephews and a wonderful niece that I get to hang out with, and my kids can be friends with. So everybody wins.
You're welcome.
Well, I think that
I did it all for you.
I think that just about wraps us up for this week. But I did want to thank everyone for listening. Summer, I wanted to thank you again for joining me this week. It's been a lot of fun.
Pleasure.
I want to have you back soon.
That'd be great. I'd love it.
And we can find you. Where can we find you if you want to learn more about this wonderful woman I've been talking to tonight?
You can find me at www.MadeByMunchiesMama.com, and that's Munchie with an IES and Mama with an MAMA. And you can also find me on Instagram. I post pictures of my family and things that we're doing.
Are you still doing your fashion posts?
I am. I actually just did one this week. I got back on the wagon for fashion. I do modest fashion posts, so things that are in style, on trend, and that are garment friendly.
Hey, I like that.
Yeah.
Well, wonderful. Well, once again, my name is Grady of This Mormon Life. You can find me at www.this-mormon-life. And the Third Hour of Power is a podcast brought to you by This Week in Mormons. We're really grateful for Jeff and Al for helping put this together. And you can see them or find out more about them at thisweekinmormons.com. You can listen to their podcast similar to ours where they talk about Sunday school lessons. And that's called the Sunday School Bonanza. You can find on iTunes and Stitcher Radio, or you can listen to it on YouTube. The same way you can do with this program. Also, they have a weekly program where they talk about Mormon news and popular culture. We're both on Facebook. We're both on Twitter. They're now on Instagram. It's a great way to interact with us and keep in touch as we take breaks between lessons. So we'll be back again in March to talk about lessons 5 and 6, and it's going to be a good time, and we hope to see you then. Once again, on behalf of Summer, I am Grady, and this has been the Third Hour of Power, and until then, we bid you all a fond adieu.